Hello folks, this is Gabriel ILiadis with songwriterandproducer.com, and today I will talk about the production deconstruction of Suddenly, a song I wrote and fully produced. This is a continuation of two other videos that took place previously. You can find them on the links on the screen, and we're moving into deconstructing the chorus today with this video. Very important, complicated vocal stacking happening here that I'm proud of. And you can find the song on YouTube on songwriterandproducer.com. And the chorus starts at around 1.5 minutes. So let's hear how it sounds here.
It's more than banging loud. To know when to let go of. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's sureness. It's blameless and it's brightness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love. It's more than banging loud. To know when to let go of. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's sureness. It's blameless and it's bright. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love suddenly. To know when to let go of. A lot to never shut up. It's blameless and it's brightness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love suddenly. It's more than banging loud. To know when to let go of. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's sureness. It's blameless and it's bright. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love suddenly. Suddenly.
And we're leaking into the verse here. Let's see how this was done. It sounds as if there's maybe 1 or 2 or 3 tracks of vocals, but there's a ton more. And you know, by deconstructing this previously, before I started recording, I realized that there's room for more than one mixes here. When I do not stack as many of these vocals, when I make this a lot lighter from a vocal richness or vocal stacking perspective, this song, this chorus has a lot more mileage on it. I already have started and am more than halfway into producing this in a different way that I'll make these videos later, but this is the first mix, this is the first instrumentation, so let's go and deconstruct this. I will start with some of the music here. Let's get into the vocals where all the action is. So let's start with the first track and let's look at the melody only.
It's more than banging loud. To know when to let go of. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's sureness. It's blameless and it's brightness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love suddenly. It's more than.
So for the lyrics, by the way, you can find those at the bottom, right here, chorus, the bottom of YouTube. This sounded weird because I have panning applied, especially on the first of the 2 tracks. You see here 100% to the right and only 8% to the left. So if I engage this guy over here, we'll hear the first stacking of the vocals.
It's more than banging loud. To know when to let go of. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness.
To make it fair, I will enter this so that both overlapping parts of the chorus, of the lyrics of the chorus, are clearly pronounced.
It's more than being in love. To know and to let go of. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's sureness. It's blameless and it's brightness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love. It's more than.
So you see here, there's a lot of good things happening. I love this melody. Of course, I wrote it. I should like it. What I love about this is the fact that although we're stacking all these, they continue to play a complementary role. Very, very important. And the role could be very different. So, for example, one factor is the melodic different. Here, the melody is different than up here. So let's see.
Let go of. It's also being better. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
Okay, and I love where the singer's going here.
Aimless, not aimless.
While previously,
aimless, not aimless.
Or up here.
Aimless, not aimless.
I mean, we have up to now we have three different endings.
Not aimless, not aimless.
Let's see this one.
Not aimless, not aimless.
Haha. Okay. I mean, or let's go to the third.
Not aimless, not aimless.
By the way, what you hear, for the ones that have a very sensitive ear, very trained ear, what you're hearing is not pitch correction, it is vocal line, okay? This singer, I applied absolutely zero pitch correction on anything in this song. Incredible singer, and you know the pros and cons of pitch correction. I'll do videos about that, but the fact that you hear a little bit of something here at the very end,
not aimless, not aimless.
Right here. That's vocal line. And for those that know what that is, fine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those that do not, I will do a very short video. Extremely useful tool, by the way. For a situation where you have all these stacked vocals, vocal line almost necessary. You cannot do without that. So, fourth.
Not aimless, not aimless.
As you can see, this is my favorite ending of this part of the melody, because look how much more pronounced I have it with clip gain, okay, plus 7.3 decibels, while the other ones are at 0. Okay, so altogether, just this last part of this melody.
Not aimless, not aimless.
One could say it's too much, but when you hear this inside the rest of the mix,
not aimless, not aimless. It's more than
a lot of different other things are happening. There's a lot of syncopation here. There's a lot of lyrics. And in many ways, this may be part of, or one of the main weaknesses of this song. The chorus is very full of lyrics. And there's a lot of overlapping. I mean, it would be impossible for any singer to sing this live. For those that saw the previous video that analyzed and deconstructed the verse, that was a completely different approach from a vocal perspective. There was no overlapping, there was no stacking. Let's go back to the deconstruction though. Down here, because of the way the melody goes, let's just listen to this.
to know and to let go of.
By itself.
A lot to never shut up. His blameless and his brightness. It's more than deep love suddenly. To know and to let go of. A lot to never shut up. His blameless and his brightness. It's more than deep love suddenly. To know and to.
Okay. Let's also now visit these two. Because these two could be up here, but I brought them down here because they wouldn't fit. They wouldn't fit right.
It's more than being in love. It's also bing bada.
Oh!
It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
Let's go slowly here. Let's look at this.
It's more than binging loud. It's also bing bada. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
By the way, the audience, I'm wondering, why did you cut this short here? Because it looks like a nice melody is forming. Well, we'll see that later.
Not aimless, not aimless.
Much better like that. But because of these stackings, these vocals, these tracks getting into this part of the song, they had to be cut.
It's more than deep love suddenly.
And this is a very important part in melody.
Not aimless, not aimless.
But look how different this one is.
It's more than banging loud. It's also bing bada. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
And now I'm wondering what is going on up here. So let me show you how this was initially recorded.
Not aimless, not aimless.
But we could not use it. So this is what I meant before when I said, you know what, this song, if I strip it down in yet another mix, different than the one I'm working on, that I talked about, I am almost done with, which is a mix of rock and electro, by the way. It has potential for a more acoustic, more raw, more unplugged version. We'll see.
It's more than banging loud. It's also bing bada. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
Let's analyze this from a plugin perspective. So as you see, I have the same plugin and very few, just 2 on every track. This shows how well tracked this is, and I guess the stacking does wonders. But I'm sending on bus 24 for the ducking later. We'll talk about this later. And I have this guy. I'm sending everything to 9 and 10. I have Saturn on everything, and actually this should not even be here. There's no reason for this probably, so I'll turn it off. Let's look at the plugins. Eddie Kramer, I like to use this for vocals that have a rocky type of grit. I talked about this in the other video for the verse as well as the intro, 2 other videos. Let's see if I have the same exact settings. I'll pull up 4 of them, the first 4, and look at the settings. And I'm doing it right now. It's been more than a year that I produced this, so this is, yeah, it looks like the same setting here. A little bit of a difference here, I see, on this one, but it looks like there's no specific compressor I used here or specific EQing. Everything just worked, which shows that the melody was good, the tracking was good, the singer was great. Of course, these have been edited heavily. What else happened? Oh yes, the NS1. I talked about this plugin on a previous video. I use this when a particular other plugin creates a lot of noise. I guess it's a noise suppressor used mostly for voiceovers, but in this case it was very useful. Well, let me play this.
It's more than banging loud. Now and to let go. It's also bing bada.
So let's see what some of these will sound with just a certain part of the music. And actually, you know what? What I'll do is I'm going to leave the second overlap, let's call it, of the chorus, of the melody, and just leave the first. These 2 also. And then I will actually loop it. Let's say something like this. There's also a little bit of a vocal here. I'll talk about this later. we have our rise and hits, our bass.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness.
By the way, this bass I hate. Now that I'm listening to this bass in a solo way, exposed, I don't like this at all. But in the mix with the rest of the things that are playing, it kind of fits. To me, it sounds like it has no character, very basic. I don't know, I don't like this bass.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
So, the other thing I'm wondering here is how not very well mixed these drums are. The drum section of the second mix is very different. But I'm thinking if I put in my favorite drum compressor, and so we're moving away from deconstruction, but actually production now and mixing. Let's see what happens. There you go, immediately.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud.
Look at the difference.
It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out.
There you go.
It's pureness, it's sureness.
Of course, inside the mix, this may be a mistake, but I will pause this here and go into the deconstruction, continue with that. So I'll take these out. Let's look at the arpeggiators used here.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out.
This sounds really bad right now, but this was used as the last arpeggiator to add thickness. So I'll put that aside for now. Let's look at the pizzicato.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness.
Rhythmically, this is great. It sounds really good.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out.
It fits perfectly.
It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
Together.
It's more than banging. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
So this arpeggiator, this guy,
it's more than banging loud.
okay, this guy has a lot of EQing, Saturn, giving it the grit, and the ducking from a plugin standpoint. By the way, let's not forget the panning, very important. This is why it sounds staggered, crooked when you solo it. This guy has my favorite imaging tool, and imaging is one of my favorite things to do when producing anything. I'll talk about this on a separate video. And this, of course, also has Saturn to make a pizzicato sound like this.
It's more than banging loud.
Because otherwise it sounds like this. Let's see what it sounds like without the Saturn.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out.
Of course. Now that's pizzicato strings from a synth. Very typical sound, very popular. But
it's more than banging loud.
now it sounds like a distorted guitar, doesn't it? So when these two got in, I voted for this one, this third one, that adds thickness. It adds richness to the arpeggio mix.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out.
This guy.
It's pureness.
But this guy needed a lot of tucking, a lot of putting it at the right spot. So on top of Saturn, I put in a gate, and also I put in a ducking device here. So what else is happening here? We also have another arpeggio over here. Let me have you listen to this with the vocals.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud.
When you listen to this now, it sounds like it's out of timing. The timing is not right. But if I put some drums here, let's see what happens.
It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than banging loud. It's also being brought out. It's pureness, it's sureness. Not aimless, not aimless.
That sounded better, but what else do we have here? My favorite fill-in break of the song. I love this. Okay, this was done with a virtual instrument, and I have edited this a lot, and I want to show you. You see how we're going up in gain, intensity, energy, however you prefer. And as we're going up, the sound is actually getting wider. You probably can hear it. And the crash. I always like to end with crashes at the end of fill-ins. So since we took the vocals out, let's hear this. Actually, from here on. See, it's starting to form, and if we keep adding arpeggios here. Let me talk about this now, the snare. I believe, I'm a firm believer in very well done snares. They are capable of making or breaking a mix. Very important. One of the things I do is tune the snare from a tonal perspective, from a pitch perspective. We need the snare to be correct with respect to the chords used. This snare went through a lot of editing with pitching. The imaging is the second most important for me, but mid-side, very important. It sounded more pronounced with mid-side. Look at the difference. Okay, it's like we're listening only to the verb tail of that when it's at left-right. But mid-side and in the mix, see, it disappeared. It was left-right, mid-side right now. Now we can hear it again. So what if we do this? It disappears. Okay, so this is why this is very important. Imaging, placing the sound, and then it looks like I experimented with some upping, but I have disabled these, so I'm just cutting down on the lows. We're getting to mixing now, but look how. The reason I put these here, but I ended up not using them, is not coincidental. Look at, I found and pronounced more of the tonal correct pitch of the snare. There you go. It's almost becoming part of the chord now. This. No, this is wrong. This does not work. And you can hear this has no place. Let's find what could have a place though, just for fun. Let's go back here. So I know this first chord. I want to make this relevant to A minor, transposed by two semitones. So that I want to make it relevant to the first chord. It's more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than being in love. No one to let go of. So that's one. That's one right here. Brought it down. Enabled this and brought this one down also. It's more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than being in love. No one to let go of. It is more than. Let it run now. More than being in love. No one to let go of. It's also being part of. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's your name. It's goodness and it's brightness. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love. It's more than being in love. No one to let go of. It's also being part of. A lot to never shut up. It's pureness, it's your name. It's goodness and it's bright. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love. More than never shut up. It's pureness, it's your name. It's goodness and it's bright. Not aimless, not aimless. It's more than deep love sudden. To no one to let go of. A lot to never shut up. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. That's it. Pitch, placement, and further pitching with an EQ. And more importantly, cutting some of the lows here. We talked about the break. Now let's see what that is. Okay. So this and that are my other fill-ins This is my main drum line, and then I have 2 tracks for the fill-ins. Why is this different? Let's find out. So one does this, and what does that do? That does okay, and it has a crash, so together there's clashing. I would add some placement. When I hear them soloed, they're very different. And again, we're getting into mixing now. Wow, big difference already. But let's hear this in the mix, which is the only relevant thing. The mid side made too much of a difference soloed, but let's see. Oh, first, let's loop this. This is looped. Yeah, okay, fine. Much thicker with this one small change here. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm voting for polarity change over here on the left side, and oh, big difference, but much better, much better. This side, yeah, much more pronounced, much more out of the way of other things. Okay, this asymmetry rotation here. Before, with no imaging, with what else do we have here? We have this vocal we did not look at all. I took this from one of the takes for the intro. I have done a video just for the intro. You can check that out. But I've taken it, edited the heck out of it, and very, very carefully balanced the volume and the gain, the compression, and did a bunch of things I see here with this. This is adding to the melody. So for example, I mean, to me, this sounds beautiful. When you take it out with the rest of the mix and then put it back in, big difference. That was in, now out. By the way, that tuning of the snare, just a huge difference to my ears, but it's too pronounced. I'm going to have to go take that down a little bit. And back here. Without big difference. Something's out of whack here. Probably a ducking device is not working. That should fix it. Just clip gain will fix it.
It's more than being in love. To know when to let go. It's also being better. A lot to never shut up. It's good as it should.
Back to this guy. I mean, by itself up here, it's magic. Wide. Let me make this wide. So because this is a constant tone, a constant note, and because it adds to the melodic aspect of the main melody, in a way, it's almost like if you had a violin or a viola or a pad with just one note playing that role, you know, just adding, complementing the whole production here. I'm going to up this so we can hear it more pronounced. I left the best for last, possibly. The second best, after the vocals, I think, is this sound. The only thing I applied is imaging, mid-side again, with some rotation back here also. Look at how different imaging makes things, changes. Everything changed with mid-side in there. To me, this is, and as you see, I'm not using it over here. So doing the second half of the first chorus, it goes in. As you see, I muted it here. It was in there, and I took it out. I made the choice to give variation to the whole production here and just give it a break over here. Because this is a pretty busy sound. So you want to use it sporadically, and you want to place it correctly. Placement of such a busy sound, which is very much thick around the mid frequencies where the vocals reside, needs a lot of attention.
Suddenly, to know when to let go of, a lot to never shut up.
And also the other reason this is here, we're only using half the lyrics off the chorus.
To know when to let go of.
See, these are all off, so it's not like this.
It's more than being in love. To know when to let go of.
We only have the second half.
Suddenly, to know when to let go of. A lot to never shut up. His blameless and his brightness, not aimless, not airless. It's more than deep love suddenly. To know when to let go of. A lot to never shut up. His blameless and his brightness. It's more than deep love suddenly.
And that was it. That concludes the chorus. I will see you on the next video where I'll discuss the outro. With that, I will let you enjoy the chorus one last time with the video.
A rainbow painted in the sky, would I foresee? It's more than being in love, now when to let go of. It's also being part of a lot to never short of. It's pureness, it's sureness, it's blameless and it's brightness, not aimless, not endless. It's more than deep love. It's more than being in love, to know when to let go of. It's also being part of a lot to never short of. It's pureness, it's sureness, it's blameless and it's bright, not aimless, not endless. It's more than deep love sudden. To know when to let go of. A lot to never short of. It's blameless and it's brightness, not aimless, not endless. It's more than deep love sudden. It's more than being in love, to know when to let go of. It's also being part of a lot to never short of. It's pureness, it's sureness, it's blameless and it's bright, not aimless, not endless. It's more than deep love suddenly.
This was Gabriel ILiadis with songwriter and producer.com. Thanks for watching, folks.